Now let's take a further look at what the Quebec government has announced. And Education Minister Jean-François Roberge announcing on Sunday that the Ethics and Religion course, it's on its way out to replace it. A course that will focus on Quebec values, Quebec civics, and critical thinking. Let's find out what the official opposition has to say about this. Marwah Rizqy is on the line, Liberal M&A for Saint-Laurent, and the official opposition critic for education. It is a tremendous pleasure to have you on the show, Madame Rizqy. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
Where is Greg Kelly right next to you right now? What is he doing right now? Did he bring you coffee this morning?
He's actually at his office, which is like 2 doors down from my office with Biggie.
Amazing. I mean, sorry, sidetrack for a moment because I just love it. It's the greatest story. Congratulations, by the way, on your nuptials.
Thank you, Elias.
Is it awkward at all with the guy 2 doors down from you?
No, absolutely. It's actually very convenient. We always do the road Montreal to Quebec together. We come to Quebec together and live to Quebec back to Montreal every week together.
That's delightful. I absolutely love it. Okay, let's get to the matter at hand here. The reform announced by Jean-François Roberge. First things first, Jean-François Roberge is not someone who our listeners are particularly have an affinity for, right? Where there's been so many things that the CAQ government has done on education and the school boards and the service centers and now in the pandemic, lots of flack there. But I want to focus really on the news of Sunday and this new plan. What are your thoughts on this new course?
When I saw the press conference on Sunday, the first thing that came up to my mind was big marketing operation. Like you just said before, Mr. Roberge is not known in the education to be like a very good hero during the pandemic. Last week, the government, Mr. Legault, decided to press on the reset button and try to make us forget how they poorly managed the pandemic. So it comes down to that new announcement on Sunday. Mr. Roberge showed up with 3 different public personality. One is an artist, the other one is they're all part of the UDA, l'Union des Artistes du Québec, but no teachers to back his new plan. And when I saw that, I made a few calls and actually spoke with persons who are part of the committee who are supposed to revise the program. And they told me, Marwah, to be honest with you, I actually stepped down. Why did you step down? Because I felt so much political pressure, and I decided to step down. And today you can read that news on Le Devoir in French. It was written by Marco Forti. And I'm very disappointed because I used to be a law professor before coming into politics. I truly believe that it's important to revise a course. Every 2 or 3 years we go back to our courses and we do that exercise very carefully. What do we take? What do we take out from the program? And that course has to be reviewed, but had to be reviewed, quite frankly, with no political pressure.
Okay, so what is the stuff where you say you look at the plan, and I know they have the 3 pillars, culture, Quebec civics, and then dialogue and critical thinking. What do you point at and you say, you see, this is political pressure. This is not educational reform?
It's because of my discussion with the people who are in the committee. One, I actually stepped down. The other person is still in the committee, and they only had 1 meeting. It was back in May. Mr. Roberge announced the review of that course back in January 2020. And we understand because of the pandemic, they put on pause the committee. And the first time they sit down to the committee de validation to properly work on the issues, they only had 24 hours. The government gave the education ministry gave them 24 hours to come back with their comments, and they said we're never going to have enough time within 24 hours to comment. So give us two weeks at least. And then there was this back and forth with the government, and what they heard is said, no, this is not what the minister wants. It's not what the minister wants. With all due respect, it's not about what Mr. Roberge wants in the content of a class. It's what the experts said we should teach and how we should teach in our society. No minister should be like the 2 hands inside of a program. And when I saw the video, I don't know if you saw the video on Sunday, it's very unprecedented to see 9 different ministers from the CAQ government promoting a new course, especially that no one saw the content of that new course.
Okay, so that brings us to our next question. We're with Marwah Rizqy, a liberal M&A for Saint-Laurent. She's the official opposition critic on matters of education. So let's, here's the thing. I'm wondering if the issue is what's in, or is more of the issue what's been taken away? Because listen, I have to be honest. I'm looking at the headlines, and I'm looking at the bullet points of what's in the course. So I go down the list: Foundations of Quebec Society, First Nations involvement, freedom of expression, conscious secularism, media literacy, differentiating between fake and real news, the sex education, sexual consent, gender equality, critical thinking, respectful exchanges. I go down the list. I'm like, oh, I like all this stuff. So
and you know what? Why you like all this stuff? Because all this stuff are all right now taught in that course. I can go one by one, and I did that exercise. I put on an Excel sheet, and let's say participation citoyenne et démocratie. It's actually right now taught in ordre social.
So what's changing then?
When they talk about sexuality, it's already taught. Ethics, we teach ethics right now. So I have the feeling it was a big marketing operation because they only changed the name of the different values, if you want to call them like this. But it's more like the aspect or the element of the course, I should say. So the different elements that are actually taught right now, they just changed the name for 80% of it.
So it's a lot of window dressing.
There's also in high school, when you're in high school 4, the grade 4, there's a name. The name is Histoire et Citoyenneté. So the teacher who teach Histoire et Citoyenneté, what they're going to teach now if it's sticking and it's going to be in this new course?
Okay, so one thing that if we look at things that words that are no longer there, right? The big one is religion, right? Right. That word is gone. So there's a change, right? So what do you think about that? That they are pushing more secularism and they're sort of expelling the religion from the course.
But there was so many different views about taking off religion. I think we can teach different religion without being without being biased, but they replaced that content of religion by Citoyenneté du Québec. I know what's a Citoyenneté canadienne, but what is to be a citizen of Quebec exactly? Can anyone at the CAQ government explain me clearly what is a good citizen of Quebec?
Okay, so that's a great question, right? Because, the translation in English, if you call it citizenship, I feel the same way, right? I'm like, what is Quebec citizenship? But then I heard a translation, don't call it citizenship, call it civics, right? A civics class, learning about how government operates, learning about roles and responsibilities. And then I said, okay, well, I could go along with that.
But that's the name. We also have a word for that in French, un cours de droit civil. But I know how French is important for Mr. Legault. I very doubt that they chose citoyenneté because they couldn't find a better word in French. We have so many words in French. So they chose specifically citizen because they want to put nationalisms in front. That's their agenda, and that they want to do it before the election.
So that's interesting because you mentioned off the top, this is more marketing than anything. So do you also think, along with the marketing, they're trying to put you, like the Liberal Party and other political parties, in a position where you've got to now say, well, you got to sort of put a negative spin on Quebec citizenship when it plays well in Quebec politics? Do you think that's part of it too, the marketing and also the politics game they're trying to play?
Well, I spoke with the expert, and many of them told me that they saw the political interference from the CAQ government. That's what the expert told me, and they actually went public with that today with the Devoir in French. So it's not what I think; it is actually the facts.
So what are the next steps here? It goes through the education ministry. There are a whole bunch of people involved in that process. So what are the next steps on this reform?
Well, to see the content, because right now we already have the team, the different competence that they want to show, but no one saw the program, not even the minister, I think. And the committee, they will have a meeting on Friday, and they will announce the committee after the press conference of Sunday what is actually the new course. So this is quite something, and I remember so many times they said that we need to respect the experts, we need to respect the teachers. On Sunday, what we saw, it was another slap on the face because no teacher were invited, no expert were invited, and not even people who decided to join the committee to review that course was invited.
We're wrapping up with Marwah Rizqy, liberal MNA for Saint-Laurent, the official opposition critic for education. I guess I'll end off on what do you think is the right mix of nationalism? You know, like it does seem there's a heck of a lot of nationalism in this course now, but what do you think is the right amount of nationalism in a course like this in Quebec?
Well, you know what? There's actually a report about that. The committee they drafted a report, and someone asked to publish publicly that report to see what are the thoughts of the different experts from Quebec, the different philosophers who were engaged, who participated to the review of the class. And Monsieur Roberge decided to not publish the report. So I would love to tell you what is the right amount, but right now I don't have the information because I didn't have access to that report.
Marwah Rizqy, liberal MNA in Saint-Laurent, official opposition critic on It Matters of Education. Thank you so much for taking the time this morning. Say hi to Greg.
Thank you. Bye-bye.